Hello, everybody. I wanted to take a second to talk about Dark Souls 3. Specifically, I wanted to review Dark Souls 3. I can't really think of anything that, I don't see the reason of putting in hours and hours of getting rudimentary gameplay footage to play over the background. I just wanted to give you guys something to listen to longer form. So, Dark Souls 3. A bit of background. My first Soulsborne game that I really played was Elden Ring, and Dark Souls 3 was the next one after that. I wanted to just talk about my journey, and I will talk about my feelings about every area and boss as we go. Starting with the first area, the Cemetery of Ash, Iadex Grungir, the final boss of that area, wasn't too bad. The first time on my first playthrough, when I beat him, it took me about 3 or 4 tries max. And I didn't have too much of an issue with it, all things considered. That's primarily because, even with, things, the movement feeling a tad bit slower comparatively, Elden Ring had prepared, and it was fine. Iadex Grungir, I think, is certainly a much better, initial first boss than something like the Soldier of Godric was in the tutorial cave in Elden Ring, but that's just me. After grabbing the spiral sword or whatever, I lit the shrine in Firelink Shrine. I was able to start leveling up initially, and then I ported to the High Wall of Lothric. The dragon just past all of the hollowed individuals was a lot, but once I realized that I could just bait out all of the enemies and then have the dragon do the killing for me, that was great. What was a little bit more difficult was getting around to that initial night. It wasn't too bad. The night was admittedly slower than nights in Elden Ring, so it wasn't too bad per se, but it was still, a pain in the ass to get around. Not because of the night, but because he was flanked by 2 smarmy little bastards that threw knives, which kind of poise broke me because I picked a withered character. From there, we went through to the Undead Settlement after beating Vort of the Boreal Valley. That didn't take me more than a couple tries. I killed the chick initially, after bumming around in the Undead Settlement for a bit. I killed the chick who was Prince Lothric's handmaiden, and summoned the Dancer of the Boreal Valley, so that was interesting. That being said, I obviously died a few times. I was learning its progression, but I just didn't have the strength yet to take care of it. So we've bumbled around the Undead Settlements a little bit more, until I was able to get to, figure out the lift puzzle with Sigward, who is a very good boy. I like him a lot. We killed the fire demon together. That was fun. And then I became friends with the giant. And from there, I went down and went into the Road of Sacrifices. That was a little frustrating with the 2 champions that would, that are basically blocking you from getting into Faron Keep. But I got into the poison swamp hell that was Faron Keep. Not too bad. I got to the center keep where the old Wolf of Faron was stationed, and went up the lift there to fight the stray demon. That was cool. Really easy fight. I had played a little bit of Dark Souls 1 in the past. I had fought the Asylum Demon before, so I was at least familiar with the moveset. It wasn't too bad. but, you know, by the time I got to the Abyss Watchers, I was getting my ass handed to me, quite frankly. And I just didn't have enough power yet, so I explored a ruin off to the left in the Road of Sacrifices and discovered the Crystal Sage. I did not know they were there, and they were a pain in the ass to deal with, but not because they were strong or anything, but just because they kept fucking teleporting and making copies of themselves. But once that was all said and done, we made my way to the Cathedral of the Deep, where I met a particularly old knight who teleported me into a snowy fucking hellscape filled with overpowered knights and angry dogs. After not being able to, you know, do anything here, I kind of left this area to the wayside for later, because there's nothing that was going to happen with it. I continued in the Cathedral of the Deep. I killed the giants, so I just didn't have to deal with them, if I'm being completely honest. And, you know, there's some knights there, some little, like, gremlin guys, the little thieves. They're fucking annoying to deal with. A pain in the right pain in the ass. Did all that, fought the Deacons of the Deep, beat them, fun, cool, and then leveled up a bunch, went back to try the Abyss Watchers again. It did not work out. It was kind of rough. So I was just like, what the fuck am I missing? And I just was bumbling around the undead settlement, and I discovered the curse-rotted greatsword. The great wood, I mean to say, and I finally killed that. That way I could then use all of these Lord Souls I had clogging up my inventory on some shiny new weapons. I picked up Vort's. Specifically, I picked up Vort's Warhammer, Great Hammer, which I did not use until much later in the game. I will get into that when we get there. But I basically grinded for a while until I was able to beat the Abyss Watchers. It was a very close match, but I did it. Unto which I discovered the Catacombs of Karthus, which was awful. I had unlocked everything I needed to get to High Lord Wolnir, and I didn't fucking understand how to fight up at all. I left the game for a few weeks, asked my buddy Anthony what the fuck to do, and he told me, dude, it's you see the glowing jewelry on his shit, just break that, and then he'll instantly die. And I was like, bet! And I did that, and I won, which was awesome. From there, we were in Irithyll of the Boreal Valley. Can't say I was necessarily a giant fan of that, but did a lot of exploring. Pontiff Sullivan was a right pain in the ass, so I decided to explore the Irithyll dungeon instead. Exploring through there, that was fine. Got down to the Profane Capital, where Yorm the Giant was a not very straightforward fight at all. I had heard that I needed the greatsword in the back to deal damage to him, but, like, it was just such a fucking convoluted way of, like, doing it. It was just insane. It was just so much more just, like, lining up this big-ass bingus more than it needed to be. I understand that Yorm was the predecessor for the Rykard fight in Elden Ring, and I can see why he was the precursor, and they learned a lot of lessons with Rykard. Moving on. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to continue Sigurd's quest here because I didn't find him in the Profane Capital after talking with him in Irithyll, which is unfortunate because I like Sigurd quite a lot. Going from there, I had beaten. From there, we I've leveled up enough that I decided, let me give Pontiff Sullivan another crack, right? Which, great, and I took a shot at it, which was fine. Unfortunately, that fight was just annoying as shit. It was just reminded me of just like fast, quick. It's just annoying. But honestly, I found Pontiff Sullivan's fight to be a little more less of a pain in the ass comparatively than the Dancer of the Boreal Valley. And then I thought, why am I going through this shit? Let me go get some more levels fighting the fucking Dancer. And I did. And I had figured out, like, what moves I just absolutely had to avoid and what I could dodge through. And I was able to beat them, which was awesome. And, that was fine. I got a bunch of souls for doing so, and we kept it moving. After that, I thought that, and honestly, I like the Dancer of the Boreal Valley fight. It's hard as shit, but it's like, it's, I gotta give credit where credit is due. From there, we could take another crack at Pontiff Sullivan, and he dies. Good fucking riddance. From here, we go to Anor Londo. There's just giants and knights, and it's hell, and I hate it, and I don't like it here. I get to fight Aldrich, the Devourer of the God. Honestly, the road to Aldrich, Devourer of Gods, was so much more difficult comparatively to anything else that, honestly, it made his boss fight feel really underwhelming. It was just AoEs, and it was really just chasing them down and beating the dog shit out of them. I was ported after this fight immediately back to the Boreal of the Dancer of the Boreal Valley's room, which is cool. It's fine. Like, I take it that this is like supposed to be a gotcha moment, like a giant FU, where like, oh, you got all these things for beating a boss, congratulations. Now you lose all your souls because of the fucking Dancer, which I didn't have to deal with because I bit that bird early. From there, I was able to get the bonfire. I was able to get up to the next floor, to the high wall, to get into Lothric Castle proper, which is fine. I started just making my way through. Knights, the two dragons guarding the entranceway were just a nightmare. Killing them took a while to figure out how to do it and the proper way to get around while being chased by very persistent skeletons and hollows that had zero business to be as strong as they were, and also didn't really fucking need to have the what are they called? Potions that prevent you from healing. I hated that shit. You have no idea. But I ended up killing the Dragon Slayer armor. The hardest part was just the sniping from the AoE dragon looking thing in the background. But past that, we get to the Grand Archives, a place that, I'm gonna be honest, I could not stand at all. I hated it, and not only did I hate it, and getting swarmed by all of these different things, including a Crystal Sage again, I also hated the fact that there were these three humans, normal NPC-sized enemies, that were just wrecking the shit. I ended up having to cheese them out on the other end through on a separate broken window and rooftop tile, so I could kill them one at a time, so they would stop supporting each other. It was fucking terrible, but I got it done. And from there, I got what I would call probably the worst fucking run back I have ever experienced in my life. It was awful. I had to run across the bridge repeatedly to get to the boss fight. I had to dodge through multiple enemies. It was a terrible fucking run back. And then it wasn't until after I had beaten Lothric, the Younger Prince, and the princes basically. Oh god. That fight itself, I'll get to in a second. I discovered that there was actually a skip that allowed me to skip past all of that bullshit, and I didn't know it existed until after the fact. Also, I discovered that I could get a free Titanite slab by taking that route too, so you can understand probably how I was very mad as a result. Regardless, Lothric the Younger Prince was defeated, and the Clin of the First Flame was unlocked. Great. I love that. Now, this is the point of the story where I'm about 30 levels below what I need to be to kill the Soul of Cinder. Like, I'm dodging things properly, but, like, I'm still getting hit occasionally. I'm not perfectly dodging. I need a little bit of extra, and, like, the amount of time, the damage I'm hitting him for is not enough. I need more power. So I needed about 30 more levels. And so I asked my chat, because I did most of this on stream, what the fuck am I missing? Thankfully, my chat and some people were able to guide me, and I had the luxury of discovering some brand new bosses to fight. So I did a little bit of exploring, and I discovered on my own, that there was an entire area that I had, like, off of High Wall of Lothric that I had not, experienced. The Consumed King's Garden. It was wild. And I did that. And Ulceros the Consumed King actually wasn't too bad. I mean, he had his moments where he was just a pain in the ass to kill, but the run back was more of a pain in the ass than anything else. From there, I got to the Untended Graves, through some darkness and some pain in the ass blood loss ads. I fought Champion Gundyr, and even while dodging some Black Knights, was lucky enough to basically get the ability to teleport back to anything, any bonfire without losing any of my souls, which was cool. I also was able to get the best, the item I needed for what would turn out to be the best ending in the game. I also picked up the Wolf Armor, which is pretty cool. Not great, not the best armor in the game, but what can you do? Unfortunately, the specs for my character were really low. My carry weight was low for the entirety of the game, and that's kind of on me. But what can you do? From there, there was only a handful of other bosses left to go, and one of the ones and this was at the kind of this point of trying to do other bosses, was me doing a little bit of DLC content, right? I did the Painted World of Ariandel here. Notice I'm doing everything out of order. I did most of the Painted World of Ariandel. I killed the Gravetender's champion. I killed some bad guys in a church. Most of, I basically got through, all of the Painted World of Ariandel until we ended up fighting Sister Fried herself. I didn't, I piecemealed it, I did a little bit here and there, and then I got bored with that. Somebody told me about Archdragon Peak and told me how to get there, and I got a little further in Archdragon Peak. God, the fucking, little dragonlings that are there were so unbelievably annoying to deal with. I made a little bit of further in the dregs, what's it called? What were they called? Not the Undead Woman. They're for the Ring City stuff. They were called the Drake Heap. That's what it was. And the Drake Heap was really, really annoying to me because it wasn't super clear what the next steps were. I got to a giant poison area, and that was about it. And then after that, it was kind of well, figure it the fuck out, douchebag. The angels there were so goddamn annoying to deal with. I hated it with a burning passion. But it was at that point, after beating... it was at that point after, kind of beating Sister Fried and, and then, having Painted World of Ariandel done. I had, I did the co-op with Slave Knight Gale, because Slave Knight Gale's the homie. And, I got some levels for that. I got some levels for the Consumed King, camping Grundir, and doing all that. And then I just started grinding around Archdragon Peak, because that was kind of rough. Because here's the thing, I was trying to fight the Nameless King. I went up a tower, I was able to get a stone slab, I was able to max out a couple weapons, And then and this is part of Archdragon Peak with a nameless king here. This is the part that I want to talk about, my weapon progression for the game. I know we're 20 minutes in and I'm a little late for this, but I wanted to talk about my build for a sec. I went with a lightweight dex build. Primarily a dex build that started with the Uchikatana, and then once I got to Lothar Castle, I traded up for the Onigiri and Ubadachi, the two-handed ones, which basically doubled the amount of damage I was doing because I'm hitting with two weapons instead of just the one. And then what happened was that I realized that this is Dark Souls, not Elden Ring, and that strength weapons and great weapons are stupid powerful against certain bosses to an almost insane degree. This was the moment I took my Vort's Great Hammer, which was clogging up my inventory, and sacrificed my coiled sword that I had gotten from Untended Graves to Pika-Pack or whatever, like the bird thing on top of Firelink Shrine, for a new stone slab, for a new Titanite slab. So I was able to max it out. And the reason I did this was because the two-handed, katanas, the Onigiri and Ubadachi, or as I'm going to call it, the OU, was not doing enough damage to... It's not that it wasn't doing enough damage to the Nameless King. The problem with it was that it didn't have enough reach. I could only hit the Nameless King's dragon when it was right in front of me. And there's only a handful of phases where I could do that reliably. And some of those, and to get into those positions, can be a little risky. And then I traded up for Vorts. I could hit him 3 times and hit him 3 times in a row and deal the exact same amount of damage as if I had hit him 8 times once with, one hit with this was worth about 5 to 6 hits of the OU. And so so me getting this Vort's Great Hammer turned a fight where with like the Nameless King has a lot of health, and I wasn't peeling off health fast enough to deal with it. Yes, I could dodge around and dodge him in the second phase, but his first phase was causing a lot of issues, making me sacrifice a lot of Estus flasks, and it was just not cutting it until it did. The Vort's Great Hammer in the first phase basically allowed me to deal great damage to the big bingus the Nameless King was riding, and I won. And then I swapped over to the OU for the second fight, and I was good to go. And that in doing all of that gave me enough damage to go kill the Soul of Cinder, finally. I rocked it with the Soul of Cinder. I rocked it with the OU primarily just because it was just better, I feel. I'm trying to hit you for as many times as possible. If I miss, that is, depression. I beat the Soul of Cinder. It was hard. It wasn't as hard as it was earlier, and I was able to take care of it much better. And I got what many people consider it to be the best ending in the game, which is awesome. From there, we moved on to the Ring City. I've beaten, and as I was just struggling with the, getting through the Dreg Heap, and I couldn't figure it out, one of my chatters asked me if I had been to the Smoldering Lake. I had not. I did not know what that was. And they told me how to get there from the Catacombs of Parthas. I killed a big worm, I killed a Demon King in a few hits, and then I kept it moving. It was an interesting area, but, it probably would have been a lot more daunting if I had, gone there the way I was supposed to earlier in the game. But as you can tell by my playthrough, I certainly didn't do anything in the order you're supposed to. We continued on in the Drake Heaps, and I finally, my buddy Uriah was able to finally tell me, like, yo, go this way. And he didn't remember off the top of his head, but we finally figured it out. On to the, the Demon in Pain and Demon Below. Those were fun. Regardless, beating the Demon King was a lot. It was hard. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. And we made it work. Next up was the Spear of the Church, which I just want to say, like, I played this offline, so I didn't get to, like, really experience much of the online connectivity. But I think the idea of, like, having a covenant that is literally just taking the, the Mirror Shield Knight from Dark Souls 2 and just rocking with it, I think it's pretty cool. But it's 2023. Like, I doubt people are, like, really doing that anymore, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I beat Half-Blade Spear of the Church, went on to fight Slave Knight Gale, and that was a really fun fight. It wasn't, he's still bulky. Like, honestly, I felt like, his tells were very distinct, and, it felt good. I rounded off the last boss of the game, Dark Eater Midir, myself, and it was good. Dark Eater Midir was a terrible boss. I hated the fight. It was one of the worst experiences I've had in a Soulsborne game. But yeah. Dark Eater Midir was an ass boss. I hated that, and the way he was jumping around the arena was just a nightmare, and I had to, again, because he's like, his heads would get high off the ground, I had to use I basically had to swap out to the Fume Ultra Greatsword. But you might be wondering, Evan, the Fume Ultra Greatsword, how did you have the, strength and stuff to, like, do it? Like, you've been putting a dex the whole playthrough. Well, that's the thing. Before I fought, Slave Knight Gale, I realized that dexterity wasn't really doing it for me with these types of bosses later in the game. And so I wondered, is there, like, a method of rebirth similar to how, Renala was in Elden Ring? And it turns out there was. And so what I ended up doing is I ended up spending the next hour and a half of the next 3 hours of my life before going to go fight Slave Knight Gale on trying to find the the Cathedral of the Deep, trying to find the what's her name, like the tentacle chick who Rosaria, the Rosaria chick, and I respected the pure strength. I took all of the dexterity that I had, and I pumped it into strength in my equipment load so I could wear gear that was, a little bit more bulky. I went full tank. And honestly, I don't regret it at all, because I upgraded the Fuma Ultra Greatsword to max, and that was great. And then I was able, while playing the Ring City Exploring, I got Leto's Great Hammer, which is quite literally the heaviest and most bonkers bonker in the game. And at a 32.9 poise health, as opposed to the normal 30.8, like, I'm tanking through a bunch of shit. It's great. I will say that I'm happy with it. And while I personally think the Fuma Ultra Greatsword did a much better job, all things considered, with just how the way it hit. Let Us Hit Great Hammer just really just does wreck shit, and I like it a lot. But I swap between the two as needed. If I need something that has a larger arc, I'll go with the Greatsword, and if I need something that will just destroy something, I'll go with the Great Hammer. It made me, honestly, going through New Game Plus after beating everything was really, really interesting. And the reason I say it's really interesting is because it's just fun to just be able to bonk a boss 2 or 3 times. That was giving me trouble in the beginning, but that is the New Game Plus experience. It's committing war crimes against the things that violated you in the past. And that's Dark Souls for you. What do I think about Dark Souls? I thought it was good. Is it a good game? Absolutely. Do I think, now, while some of my contemporaries and my friends might disagree with me when I say that, many people will say that Dark Souls 3 should be people's first Soulsborne game. While I understand where they're coming from, I disagree. If you want to get good, if you're trying to be one of the get good types, where it's you learn how to do the bosses properly, and you keep dying until you get it right the proper time. At the end of the day, it's really more of a case of what is more enjoyable, and I'd say Elden Ring. The reason I say Elden Ring, despite it having a little more cheese and being a little more bullshit in certain regards, is to counteract that heavily. You have things like summons, you have a large open world, which will give you where you can find all the things that you need, and you also have, as well, really, really awesome, what's a phrase? Really, really awesome, tools at your disposal to just, make things easier. FromSoft did a really good job with that game of the tools you need to solve problems are at your disposal. You just need to find them. And, Dark Souls, the FromSoft games have always been games about exploration, and Elden Ring takes that to the max. And the reason I say all that is the ceiling for things to get you through bosses in Dark Souls 3 is lower than it is in Elden Ring. At some point, you're just going to have to throw your head against a brick wall and hope you get lucky. Elden Ring is good for people who wouldn't otherwise play Soulsborne games, and if you are the type of person who would, there are ways going backwards to older games is easier. I think Dark Souls 3 is a good first step to feel your first traditional Soulsborne game that isn't Elden Ring, but I don't think it's as strong of a contender as what your first should be. The journey I had through Dark Souls 3 was objectively wonderful. I did a little bit of NPC quests here and there. Those were fun, but there was just something about the NPCs that I just couldn't really get behind, except for the Firekeeper. I did like her a lot. Lastly, I want to say that the world design of Dark Souls 3 was pretty damn good. No notes. I do think that it's a little cheap to just have you get teleported back to the High Wall of Lothric as a convenient, easy way to save you the trip back, but you know what? I understand, and I'm not mad about it. As far as the different invaders and things of that nature, that was fine and dandy. I don't really have too much of a problem with them. The bosses, if I'm feeling about the bosses, just to kind of surmise my feelings, Idix Grungear I think is a great example of a early game boss to sort of test if you're getting into the mindset of a game. Void of the Boreal Valley is a good mid-range boss that I feel is like he's very logical and he doesn't do anything that's too cheap. The Curse Rod of Greatwood is bullshit, but it does teach you that you need to be observant with some bosses on how to beat them, and that makes sense, although I wish there weren't as many AoEs. Fuck the Crystal Sage, fuck the Abyss Watchers, Deacons of the Deep are just fodder, yada yada yada. High Lord Volnir can be described as, I hope you were paying attention in your fight with the Curse Rod of Greatwood, because I sure as shit didn't, and I had to ask a friend for help. The Old Demon King, I wish I had fought you when I was smaller, and I didn't, come to you at level fucking 99. Pontiff Sullivan, Dancer of the Boreal Valley, but harder. Why this shit, this isn't fucking Bloodborne. Yorm the Giant, worst right card. Aldrich the Devourer of Gods. I feel like if I was a lower level when I got here, it would have been better, but I wasn't, so here we are. Dancer of the Boreal Valley. Intimidating initially, but once you figure out how it moves, it's not that bad of an issue, if I'm being completely honest. Dragon Slayer Armor. Underwhelming fight. Like the actual moves itself weren't too bad. It was, the big worst part of it was its assistance, if I'm being honest. Oseros the Consumed King. Hard boss to find. I wish the fight was a little more interesting. Although the dialogue and him literally fucking murdering his newborn son was a little shocking. Champion Grundir. Better Grundir fight. I liked it. I got pissy with it, but it was a satisfying fight. Lothric, the Lothric twins were whatever. Like they're teleporting and their holy magic was bullshit, but realistically at the end of the day, it wasn't too bad. The Ancient Wyvern was just a gimmick. I fucked up and missed his head the first time somehow and had to run through the whole gauntlet again, and I hated it. Nameless King dies to two-handed weapons, confirmed. And the Soul of Cinder, meh. Once you're a high enough level, it's not really that bad of an issue. Champions Grave Tender and Grave Tender Great Wolf. Just focus the Great Wolf and kill it. The Champion Grave Tender can be dealt with intermittently. Sister Freed has one of the most interesting boss fights in the entirety of this game. I liked it a lot, even though I needed a summons to help me. I would have lost if I didn't have Slave Knight Gale pulling through to lend a hand. No notes. Wonderful fight. Demon in Pain and Demon from Below. That was a juggling match that was not fun, but I finally got it done. That came really freaking close. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to summon Slave Knight Gale for it, and I wasn't sure how to. Half-Light, the Spear of the Church was okay, I guess. It's okay. I don't really have any, issues with the fight. I mean, I feel like some of his abilities were kind of bullshit, but, I think the combination of a PvE, PvP fight at the same time was interesting in concept. Dark Eater Madir is the most bullshit fight in this entire game, and I'm very glad that they have taken notes not to make another fight like they did in any of their games since. Slave Knight Gale is second to Sister Freed as far as bosses go. He's probably a little more fair because he doesn't turn invisible and it doesn't turn into a Bloodborne boss during the third phase. But otherwise, I think it's a great fleshing out to the end of the Dark Souls story. It's told through mechanics, not just through, things like that. The different Boral Knights, the ones where you get the aerial broadsword, one of three frost, those knights are annoying to deal with. They're fine. Stray Demon, dead, easy peasy, whatever. Fire Demon, fine, whatever. The different Deepa Curse, they surprise you and I do not like it. The Karthus Sandworm was lackluster. I literally just hid behind it and hit it with a bow until it died. And the Sullivan's Beasts were let's just say I'm not necessarily fond of those things as on principle. As far as NPCs go, I think some of my Andre the Firekeeper, Andre and the Firekeeper are probably like my two favorites, along with Sigurd of Katarina. Yol was cool while he was alive. The Shrine Handmaidens, all of them were, kind of salty, but I get it. I didn't unlock the what was her name? I didn't unlock Carlia until much, much later, and as a result, I missed out on a lot of magic and stuff. There were a lot of NPCs that I just didn't get to interact with, what was their name? Lop. I didn't get to interact with Lop at all. I was really sad with the Stone-Humped Hag dying. That made me actually very sad. Locust Preacher was pretty cool, but I really don't, aside from, Andre the Firekeeper and Sigurd of Katarina, I can take and leave with the rest of the NPCs. And I'm a bit bummed I never got a chance to complete Sigurd's questline. What would I do differently? I probably would give magic more of a thought next time, if I'm being honest. I think that the hyperfixation on my hyperfixation on Dex, because it was tainted through Elden Ring's experience, was not fantastic, all things considered. I probably should have, been a little more cognizant, but I also didn't want to Google anything about builds. I wanted there to be surprises, because let's be real, story is not necessarily the big shtick here. It's I don't want to see what's coming next because I want to experience it myself. I do regret not experiencing any of the online stuff or anything. That was very sad. I think my biggest regret was putting as little points into my equip load as I did, because if I'm being if I can be dead ass even, I really like the Dragon Slayer armor, and I really wanted to wear it. I just wasn't able to because I just didn't have the equip load for it. So that was all that I was doing. Towards the end, it was just getting my equip load high enough that I could wear shit and not immediately die. Dark Souls was, in my opinion, one of the most excellent, Souls games I've played. I think it's an excellent action RPG, and definitely worth the play. I hope that, I do think that some of the design principles from this I thought was really, really good, where you sort of restrict certain spell types to a particular you have your pyromancy hand, your dark magic hand, stuff like that. I thought those were interesting choices that were definitely worth doing. And while I think that having that as kind of your level up thing is a good idea, I do understand why they made magic more generic than that, with sorceries and incantations. Hopefully someday in the next FromSoft game that they make, that they will make magic just its own thing without having to pick between intelligence-based sorceries or faith-based incantations. But I like the pyromancy. I like the amount of variety that you could get with pyromancy. The dude who made I liked my pyromancy master who taught me stuff. He seemed like a cool dude, but I didn't really do too much. The only thing I really used as far as pyromancy is concerned towards the end was was what was it called? Not Sacred Flame, Power Within, where it's found in the Grand Archives, where I temporarily boost my attack, and then allows me to gradually lose HP while my attack is boosted. That actually helped a lot. It helped me melt bosses that I was comfortable dodging through significantly faster. And now that I'm actually looking through the different like weapons and stuff and the different spells, I realized there was a lot of things that I was missing out on as far as like catalysts go. I wonder how strong the Demon Scar was compared to the Pyromancy's Flame. Unfortunately, I never really got a chance to try it, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much for listening to me during this this review of Dark Souls 3. I appreciate you bunches and bunches. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. I hope you are well, and I will see you guys next time. Please remember to join my Discord if you and please reach out and chit chat with me. I always like making new friends. And if you genuinely like this content and wanted to support me, I also have a Patreon where I release exclusive content in there as well. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys next time.
One take, baby!